Hi everybody, Kevin here. Welcome to the Claremont Classic Garage. Let's go in the shop and see what we're going to work on next. We're getting near the end of our snowblower overhaul. So while we've still got the orange and black paint on the go, we've decided we're going to just take a couple of days and fix up our old Dozer Blade. It's not in bad shape. There's a couple of little things I don't like about it, finicky things we're going to fix while we're at it. And let's get started. So right now we're taking off the trip springs. This one's a little exciting because the bolt's a little bent, but yeah, we're getting there. I've also removed the skid shoes. Next we'll remove the trip spring lockouts. Like so, one on each side. Next we're going to pull these 4 pins, 2 on each side, and remove the angle rams. We're going to leave the angle rams attached to the hoses because they've got quick couplers on the ends and everything stays sealed. That way I'm not going to dump oil all over the place. I think I will replace this one. It's looking a little rough. So I wonder if I have one in stock. I think I'll just replace that before I actually take this apart. There shouldn't be anything in this except air, because all it does is connect these 2 ports together. Well, it looks like I will be taking the hoses off. They both need to be replaced. You can see that one's worn through from rubbing on right there on the corner of this and the pin, and this one has the same situation. So they're going to get replaced. So we'll take them off and we'll put pipe plugs in there and everything will be fine. Now we're going to flip it up and see about getting this pivot pin out of here. Alright, now this part can come out. I guess we could call this the receiver for the quick hitch. That would be a good description of what that is. Now we have to remove this bolt and we can get out the hinge pin. This long pin through here is a real brute to get out. But I finally was able to get it moving. I made a punch. I have an old Chrysler torsion bar. It was just about the right size. And it's good hard stuff. So it is able to take the abuse, and we finally got it moving. I've pushed it out. You can see there the witness mark. I've pushed it out about an inch so far. So I've just put some more penetrating oil. We're letting that soak in, and then we'll knock it out the rest of the way. Got it out. The old torsion bar did the trick. I'm going to keep that in my toolbox from now on. Now we'll see if we can get the cutting edge off. These are carriage bolts, so well, hopefully the heads stick. That was super. It came right off. Now what we're going to do is tidy up the mess we made. And then there's a couple of things I have to fix. These 2 pins, these pins for the angle rams, they were the wrong pins. They're supposed to have a hole cross drilled through them so you can pin them so they don't come out. And they did not have that. So the length of the pins is fine. We'll just drill a hole through them so we can use them for that. And the same with the pins at the other end of the rams. We have the same situation, so we'll fix those up too. I have to drill holes through the pins. The original pins from this were not with it. It had some other pins in it that were too short. So we've got a couple of pins here. Luckily I found a pair that match and fit, so we have to drill a hole through them. So what I've done is I've set this thing up in the drill press so that you can see the drill goes perfectly through there. So we'll put our pin in here, and one by one we'll drill them both. This will take 2 hands, so stand by, I'll be back. Perfect, now we'll put the other pin in there and drill it. Now we have to drill the other 2 pins. I've started by center punching it where I want the hole, and then getting it set in the vise. You got to get it, eyeball it as perfect as you can. Now we're going to go with a center drill and get started here. Why? As usual, it's windy, windy, windy in Uxbridge today. Okay, there. And then you'll see it'll pull it straight once it starts. There we go. See? It pulled it perfect. So we'll just get that. A center drill just doesn't have the flex in it like a drill bit has, so it gives you a really, really accurate start. And when you're trying to drill through something round, you need all the help you can get to get it started straight. So there we go. Now we'll switch to the drill. Perfect. And the drill will go through there nice and straight. It's a 1/4 bolt that we're going to use to hold this in. So we're drilling 17/64, which just gives a little clearance in case we're not exactly perfectly straight or whatever. Just about through. There we go. And you ease up just as you feel it going through. Perfect. And that should be as close to straight through as we can get. Let's see. Yeah, pretty darn close. Now we're going to take this back over to the bench. We've drilled 4 pins now. We're going to chamfer all of these and we'll test fit them. Chamfering these doesn't have to be anything too fancy. We just grab a big drill bit. In this case, 7/16 is what I happen to grab. And just kind of give them up. Just clean that burr off, see? That's all. So we'll do that times 8, I guess, and then we'll test fit the pins. There we go, they both fit nicely. We know the other end pins fit because we saw the drill go right through them on the drill press, so that's all right. So that's it. I think all our drilling and oil and stuff on these parts is done. So we can go ahead and take everything outside and power wash it and degrease everything, and we can start getting stuff prepared for painting. Well, we got all our parts power washed, and not a moment too soon. It's been really nice outside for the last couple of days, but in the last hour, the temperature has just been plummeting. So I think it's going to get down to like -12 or something tonight. Wow, what a change. Anyway, that's all right. We're safe and sound inside here. Once this stuff dries, we can start sanding and grinding and cleaning up and get ready to paint it all. Oh, we got all our hardware cleaned up. I've got a couple of things, little things I have to deal with. This is the pivot pin, and it would not take grease before. So we're going to have a look at that and see if we can get it cleaned out and taking grease again. And this is that other pin that we had so much fun getting out. And I don't know if you can see it in this picture, but this end of it right there, it's got a little bend in it. And I want this so it moves freely in and out. So I don't want it tight. So we'll have a look at that. I think it's just a piece of 1-inch bar. So if we can't straighten it out, I'll just get a piece of 1-inch bar and we'll replace that. I'm going to replace these little eye bolts. Looks like they bend easy. So I'm going to go to 3/8 eye bolts. Then they'll maybe be a little tougher. And that's about it. We can start, cleaning and prepping and painting. And we'll get this blade back together. So it's ready for next winter. Alright, I'm trying to get this pin fit back into here, or this shaft. Now, the problem is, it's really tight. I'm sure the shaft has got maybe a little bit of a wow to it. And I'm not certain how truly all three of these are welded onto the bracket here. So I'm going to put my thinking cap on and try and see if I could figure out how exactly to get this free. Because this thing, I mean, it moves, but it needs to be free as a bird. And it needs to be able to get grease in there. Now I checked. I thought, oh, maybe this shaft is tiny bit bent. It looks pretty straight. There was one kink in this end, which I managed to get out. And I measured it. It's an odd size. It's 920. Why would they do that? I don't know. I wish I had a lathe. It's got centers on each end. I'd put it in the lathe and just take 20 thou off the whole length of the thing. That gives tons of clearance. So anyway, right now I'm weighing my options, and I've got a couple of ideas. We'll see what we come up with. Stand by. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. I worked and worked and worked on this shaft. I can rotate it now. I think what I'm going to do is put grease fittings on all three of these so I can grease it, and hopefully it'll never seize again. I did find little bends in it. It's really hard to eyeball it. I just used a 2-foot aluminum level, and I looked for light underneath it, and I just gave it a tweak with my hydraulic press. I've got it pretty straight now. And then I had an angle grinder with a flapper wheel on it, and I would just run that up and down it while I turned it slowly by hand. And I took a few thou off of it, and I think that's as close as we're gonna get it. It's not too bad at all. We're slowly picking away at this blade, getting paint on a few little bits and pieces. We got our tray of hardware mostly sorted out, so that's all ready to go. I got my replacement eye bolts. Like I said, I've upgraded them to 3/8. So one little thing I have to do is drill these 2 holes out so the 3/8 eye bolt will pass through them. No biggie. What I'm waiting on now with this is the polar vortex has come back, and I'd really like to take these orange parts outside to grind and sand on them. I hate doing it in here. So we've got the polar vortex and this real heavy, real cold north wind on top of that. So we'll fiddle around with other stuff while we wait for that to pass. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? I just taped around the original decals. Although I got rid of the Kubota decal because it was in pretty bad shape. I've got a new one coming. First coat of paint on those 2 brackets. Most of our little parts, the skis and the rams are already, they've got 2 coats of paint on them. They're good to go. Got our tray of hardware. This is working out quite nicely. I cleaned all the little passages with wires and drill bits and stuff, and then blew it out with air. It's all nice and clear now. And we checked the Zerk fitting. It works fine, so the pin is ready to go. Oh, we got out this morning and finally got a new quart of Zesty Orange Armor Coat paint. So that's good. So we got to let that dry, put one more coat on it, let it dry, and then we can go ahead and put our blade back together.